elephant evokes a memory among the UNPers. It's the symbol of the party. And this was a mistake that we made last time. We should have contested from the elephant.
Feel that the elephant is not quote unquote dead. There is still life in the elephant, and that this party can get back to its golden days.
Because of this division, nobody is winning. Neither we are winning, nor is Sajaba winning.
Does the UNP still feel that Ranil Wickremesinghe should be the person in parliament?
Ranil Wickremesinghe, he told me personally that he is not going to contest. And he doesn't want to be in parliament.
Considering that this government, Navin Dissanayaka's government, considering that they are continuing with that very agreement that Ranil Wickremesinghe reached with the IMF, why is the UNP maybe not considering supporting the government?
But there has to be progress, there has to be development for the people. There has to be some relief given to the people, which the government has not done.
Hello and welcome to another episode of On Fire here on Daily Mirror. I'm Easwaran Rutnam. Now, the human-elephant conflict in Sri Lanka is something that is grabbing headlines or has been grabbing headlines for the past few months. A number of incidents have been reported there involving elephants and humans. Now, today on the program, I'm not here to talk about the wild elephants, but I'm here to talk about elephants in politics, a elephant in politics. And that's, of course, about the United National Party. Now, the UNP is facing a number of issues. It has been losing successive elections, but there are moves to reform the party. So on the program today, I have with me United National Party Vice Chairman Navin Dissanayaka. Navin, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me, Easwaran.
So Navin, my first question, of course, is what is happening with the UNP? I mean, we've seen it going on a downward trend, but we also hear of moves to reform the party. Of course, this is something that we've been hearing for quite some time. What is happening with the UNP right now?
Yes, well, the UNP is the oldest political party in Sri Lanka. It was started in 1946 in Palm Court. And we've had the distinction of forming very strong governments. We've had the distinction of having presidents, three executive presidents. And of course, we are a party that in 1977 opened up the economy, liberalized the economy. And also we had the distinction of doing tremendous development projects like the Gamudava, the Mahavali Development Project, Mahapola, the free trade zones. Actually, the private sector is there because of the UNP, and the private sector accounts for about 65 to 70% of the GDP today. So all these things happen because of the policies of the UNP. So the UNP DNA is there even today in the government. I think the JVP government is basically the DNA of economic liberalization. And of course, the IMF package, which Ranil Wickremesinghe as the then president somehow managed to get for Sri Lanka, and they are sustaining that. So all this is the forward-thinking policies of the UNP. Now coming down to what has happened to the UNP, well, I think the metaphor of elephants that you mentioned, the human-elephant conflict you mentioned. Now this is an elephant-elephant conflict that also happens, right? Elephant-elephant conflicts also happen. So this happened also in 1991 when my father, the late Navin Dissanayaka, Mr. Athulat Mudali, they kind of rebelled against President Premadasa. Then there were in 2007 there were 17 very strong UNP members, including myself, that supported Mahinda to end the war. Then Mr. Karujaya Surya came back and I came back, and I have been in the UNP ever since. Then, of course, this division with Mr. Sajid Premadasa and the UNP, official UNP. So that is causing a tremendous amount of loss of votes for the UNP. The more votes are with Sajaba, that is a Samagi Jana Balabegi. Obviously, they've had success in the first general election. They got 55 seats, but now that is coming down. So my point is that because of this division, nobody is winning. Neither we are winning, nor is Sajaba winning because of the division. Because my argument is that even if the majority of votes is with Samagi Jana Balawege, those are essential UNP votes. The last 10 to 15% of UNP votes are not coming to the Sajaba. So that's about 1 million to 1.5 million votes. So which essentially means the winning and losing. It's a matter of winning and losing because we saw that in the presidential. So how did a person like Anuru Kumara, the president who had something like 4 lakhs of votes, go to 5.3 million votes? And essentially Sajid Premadasa, who has 3.5 million votes, base UNP vote, if he gets that, why couldn't he have gone for 5 million votes? He should have done that very easily. So I don't want to talk about the pros and the merits of all this, Easwaran, because at the end of the day, the right of center largest political party, because it is divided, the JAP has been to score on that. So I think it's essential that we have a mechanism where we discuss these issues and have a healing process where all of us can get together, because we are essentially everybody in the Sajaba and everybody in the UNP are friends, right? So,
but isn't it a case, Navin, that certain elements on both sides, on the SJB and the UNP, are not really giving room for this, as you term as the healing process? It looks like they are adamant to stay where they are, not really give room for negotiations. I know you were trying to play a key role in trying to get both sides to come together, at least at the last election. But if there is no proper give and take, does it look like this is a failing process?
Yes, well, last election, I was one person who advocated a common list, neither the elephant nor the telephone. So it's if you can just work out a mechanism, it's very easy, because even in this election, you could have gone for a common symbol. The symbol was also there, and we could have easily given either 60 to 65% to the SJB, and UNP would have been happy with 35%, right, of the nominations. So it's the two leaders can remain in their own parties. There's no merger of political parties or anything like that. For the moment, what we advocated was, let's put a common list. So therefore, I think it's essential that we understand that both sides have to give and take. And of course, there are always elements within any political party for their self-interest, for their own selfish agendas. They would not like to see any progression, any progressive steps being taken. But that I think is always the case in history. I mean, this has happened to the SLFP also. In the 1980s, when Mrs. Bandaranayake was on one side, the son was on another side, and that got divided. But the fact of the matter is that the division causes and allows the enemy to win. So the enemy is also very happy to see us divided, because they know that if the UNP is united, and it's always United National Party. So when you're united, you can win. So essentially, when President Premadasa was there, my father and Lalit left the UNP because of certain issues. And then after that, the slide happened. I think Mr. Wickramasinghe from 1994 has been able to put the party, got the basic, he was able to get the basic vote back. But because of this division in 2019, there has to be a certain fundamental review of the strategies of both political parties. And I am certainly advocating that within the party. I have always spoken out in the working committee about reforms and the need for reforms, the need for actual substantial reforms instead of what we call palastara reforms. So I think there's new faces are necessary. You have to rebrand the party, and certainly corruption. The party has to move out of the element of corruption, whether it's the Rajapaksa corruption, they say, or other characters who are involved in the party who are corrupt. Because people voted for the JVP. I think one main slogan and one main concern for voters was the level of corruption, and they felt it because what happened in the Aragalaya, because people were basically on the street, and you remember those days when people attributed their suffering to the corruption.
Right.
So I think there's a very strong relationship there, and UNP has to address that.
And wasn't that the biggest issue? You spoke about corruption and you mentioned the Rajapakshas, and wasn't that also a major contributing factor to the downfall of the UNP this time around? The fact that the Rajapakshas were given room to work with the UNP, and that was something that the UNP has always been against. They were always stood against the Rajapakshas when it comes to certain actions that they had taken. So this time around, that really hurt the UNP.
Yes, well, all this is relative, Easwaran, because in a democratic country, in 2019, the same people who voted the Rajapaksas out in 2015, knowing all this, knowing that the Rajapaksas were corrupt, knowing all this, they voted them back again in the form of Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Gotabaya got an overwhelming vote. I think it was an overwhelming singular vote that he got. So that was in 2019. So then the mandate was given. As you know, mandate is a strong mandate. It's a people's choice. So the same people who say the Rajapaksas are corrupt, right? But when you ask them deeply, have you voted for them at least once? They have voted for them. That's a fact of life. And then things change. So that's the political nature of things. Now, in the US also, when Donald Trump lost in 2020, right? Nobody thought he'll be back, but he's back again. So that is the nature of politics. So when people voted for Gotabaya, they didn't expect all this to happen. This corruption, corruption was always there, but they didn't expect the country to slide so quickly. Financial bankruptcy. So then, rightly or wrongly, at that particular moment of time, Ranil Wickremesinghe was there. Nobody was there to take this on. Sajid backed out. Andhra Kumara didn't want to touch it, right? And then Ranil, with all his experience and all his candor and all he was bold at that time. He's always been bold. So he took this on, and it worked out. It didn't work out for him in terms of a political vote, but it's worked out for Sri Lanka because we are able to walk again, breathe again. We are able to have a sense of some kind of a future because we can plan something out. And actually, the IMF program has worked wonders for Sri Lanka, because without that IMF package and the program, who knows where we would have ended up. I think all right-minded Sri Lankans, whether they have voted for Mr. Wickremesinghe or not, deep down agree that had he not taken that on, Sri Lanka would have been in a much darker place today.
And considering that, you mentioned about the IMF agreement, considering that this government, Anwar Kumar Dissanayaka's government, considering that they are continuing with that very agreement that Ranil Wickremesinghe reached with the IMF, why is the UNP maybe not considering supporting the government? Why oppose it?
So we are not opposing, because how can we oppose this government moving forward with the IMF agreement? What we are saying is the JVP, in the guise of the NPP, they made several promises to the people to amend this agreement in a substantial way, okay, and give more relief to the people. For example, they said that the essential items, they will remove the VAT. 5 items or 5 to 10 items, they said they will completely remove the VAT. That has not happened. They said that the income tax bracket will be decreased. not the amount of money. So we thought that the 30% will come down to about 25%. So these were actually specific promises that this government made. So none of that has been achieved. So that's what I'm saying, because Ranil was very strong in his commitment to what he meant, and he said very specifically that things that he cannot do, he did not go there. He did not say give empty promises, but he said it was a difficult road. But give me 2 years, 2.5 years, I'll pull this out of this this huge danger that we are in, and then we will move forward with economic growth. So I mean, exactly what Ranil said and did, these guys are this government is doing. So there is no difference at all, except of course the perceived lack of corruption, which is very good, and I commend the government for at the moment, 6 months down the line, there's no issues of corruption. But there has to be progress, there has to be development for the people, there has to be some relief given to the people, which the government has not done.
Right. So it was a case of, or it is a case of holding them accountable for the promises they made, not really to go against the agreement, but just to hold them accountable for the fact that they made promises to amend the agreement and they are not doing that. And that is what you're trying to hold them accountable for.
Yes, well, I mean, thing is, I think the business community, the intellectuals in this country, the middle class, the upper middle class, the professionals, they want stability and continuity. So they are getting that. They are getting that from this government, and the international community is also happy that the progress that Ranil Wickremesinghe made, that same path is followed. But on the other hand, the so-called the element of giving some relief to the people, common masses of this country, who are living on for example, a daily wage, the daily laborers, who account for about, I think, 3 to 4 million of the workforce. The government servants, particularly, they said that they gave a huge promise to increase their salaries, but that has just become a dream now. So there is a huge chasm of sadness and animosity building up, because there is no economic growth, or is there economic development. So that I mean, I can understand that, because there is a lack of capital for development work, right? And the government also is withdrawing from large development projects, which there is no capital for it, and there are no funding for it also, frankly. And this government hasn't got the capacity to talk and negotiate and get additional funding from, for example, certain government of Japan, for example, which has very concessionary funding. And now that we are going through the process of restructuring our debt, I think the second stage will be to initiate new projects like the light rail project that Japan gave us, which Gotabaya cancelled, which can be initiated if there is fresh thinking. But I sad to say there doesn't seem to be much fresh thinking coming out of the government.
Ranil Wickremesinghe, I mean, we keep talking about Ranil Wickremesinghe and the role he played during the economic crisis. Yet he is not in parliament right now. We see two others representing the UNP, and under controversial circumstances, of course, the NDF, Ravikana Naika, entering parliament as well. Does the UNP still feel that Ranil Wickremesinghe should be the person in parliament raising his voice over these issues, giving ideas and playing a more prominent role inside parliament to address the existing issues in the country?
I can personally tell you, Easwaran, that when the presidential results came, and then the general elections also came subsequently within a matter of a few weeks, Ranil Wickremesinghe, he told me personally that he's not going to contest, and he doesn't want to be in parliament. Yeah. Right? So it's not a question of Mr. Wickremesinghe being in parliament or not. It was the process of how to select those two nationalist MPs, which caused a lot of acrimony. And the UNP was expecting about 5, and it ended up with 2. So there had to be one from the nationalists, one to the UNP, and one to the gas cylinder. So how that name was selected was controversial. But I think this issue can be sorted out, because even yesterday I saw Mr. Karunanayaka at Mr. Vikramasinghe's birthday in a religious function yesterday. So there is some patching up. There is some patching up happening, but also it has left a lot of people very upset because everybody, at least in the national list, who were named, was expecting to get a slot. So I also think that process of how you negotiated that 2 slots was controversial, to say the least.
And what is your thinking about the UNP right now and your future in the party? You came back, you were, of course, a governor as well during the past regime. What sort of role are you looking at playing in the UNP going forward?
Well, I was the national organizer earlier, and then I was appointed in 2018, and then when I was just getting into gear to get some work done, and I actually got a lot of resources also from several sources for my organizing efforts. Then this whole fiasco happened with Maithripala Sirisena taking over the government. Then the Easter Sunday attacks happened in 2019, and then it was all downhill. So I couldn't really have a free hand, and the events overtook all of us. So now, when I was appointed as a governor, because of that position, I was told that as a governor I can't have a political role. So, which there is some merit to that argument. I mean, governors don't normally they're seen as apolitical. So now that I'm out of that role, I have been given the vice chairman's role, and I am going around Kandy and Nuwara and the upcountry, which is my father's base, to try and organize and get the UNP going again. I must say I'm pleasantly surprised. There's a lot of positive response among the grassroots for the UNP because we are contesting from the elephant this time. Because the elephant evokes a memory among the UNPers. It's the symbol of the party. And this was a mistake that we made last time. We should have contested from the elephant. Even if I lost frankly, Easwaran, I would have contested from the elephant. I didn't want to contest from the gas cylinder. I knew that the vote bank, the 2.2 million, was going to come down. But then Mr. Vikramasinghe was compelled to contest and go with the gas cylinder because his political alliances that he formed, he could not let them down at that crucial time. So now it's important for the UNP to look at the piece of paper with the fresh eyes and see exactly, do a SWOT analysis and see where we are and rebrand the party and get the grassroots organizations. A lot of people have left us, and I'm very sad, honestly, when I see these young people who were in the UNP earlier, they're contesting this time from the telephone. I feel very sad, and I mean, Sajid should feel sad that there's another UNP team also contesting alongside him. So, I mean, because both our fathers died for this party, right? They were assassinated. They were assassinated because of their role in the UNP. My father was a presidential. If he was not a UNP presidential candidate, he would have lived. And if President Premadasa was not the UNP president, he would have lived. So these are facts that I think we should all take cognizance of. And also, Mr. Vikramasinghe must, even at this late hour, truly reform the party, because it's a great party, and to seeing it shrinking like this, it should sadden him as well.
So you feel that the elephant is not, quote unquote, dead? There is still life in the elephant, and that this party can get back to its golden days.
Well, exactly what the golden days, I would say, would be the 1980s, right? I mean, when all the development work happened, when the giant elephants in the party, J.R. Premadasa, Gamini, Lalit, I mean, those are only 4. Then Ranil, Ronnie Dimel, Gamini Jayasuriya, so many names, E.L.B. Hurulle, great people. I mean, they've done so much of work for Anandathi Alvis. Then we have not after 1994, we have only had really 2 short spells in government, like 2001 to 2004, right? And even then, 2001, when Mr. Ranil Vikramasinghe took over the government, there were 7-8 power cuts in this country. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes.
then there was negative growth from Chandrika's time. Again, he reversed the situation, and again he lost in 2004 because Chandrika undermined him. And he could have gone for till 2005 presidential election. Now, if he contested the 2005 presidential election as the prime minister, the history of this country may have been different. So a lot of things happened that actually was beyond his control. Then again, when we came to power in 2014, actually, we did a lot of work. Then, he was undermined by Sirisena. Then the Easter attacks happened, and then the national security issue came up in the national lens, and people voted for Gotabaya because this huge phenomenon, it's an artificial phenomenon by the media, was created that the security of this country was heavily undermined. Right, but then we find out as we go along that this whole Easter attack there's a big conspiracy behind it. So I hope now this government has said they will reveal the truth to the people of the Easter Sunday attack. So they must keep their promises to the cardinal and the Catholic community of this country.
And what is the focus of the UNP going to be at this local government election? You spoke about campaigning in Kandy. What sort of assurances or promises are you all giving the public to bring back the UNP at least at a local government level?
Well, I think the issues here are, broadly speaking, out of not the national issues. Unlike a general election or presidential election, these are what you call it local government. So it's essentially local issues. Now, basically, for the last 6 years, the local government bodies, the municipal council and the Pradesh Sabhas have not been functioning. They have been basically run by officials. And the common touch of the people, what people want, the people's day-to-day needs, the garbage collection, the running of water, the local issues of looking after public properties, the sports grounds, making sure that the local systems are running on track. Those are the essential issues that matter for people. So I think it's essential that the UNP goes from house to house, and we have got good candidates contesting, and they must interact with the voters. I mean, all political parties will be doing that. So, JP will be contesting, then Sajaba, UNP, Pohuttua, then Dilip Javira's party. So many parties are contesting, so it will be very much a split vote in the local bodies. But then they can get together with common ideas when the elections are over and form the council. So I'm hoping that there will be many alliances like that between the SJB and the UNP to form with a common agenda to form local body governance.
Right. Now we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you for taking time to join us on our program today.
Thank you so much, Easwaran. I really appreciate it.
And that's all the time we have for you for On Fire for this week. Till next time, stay safe.